So today we're going to talk about managing sugar cravings when you have PCOS. So there are really only two kinds of problems in the world. There are mindset problems and there are logistical problems. And so we're going to talk about both of those in terms of sugar cravings today. So I've done a few videos so far about the different causes of PCOS and how insulin resistance is a major cause of PCOS. It's like the most common ones, like 70% of women with PCOS have a root in insulin resistance. And step number one of healing insulin resistance is always removing sugar and refined processed carbohydrates. I know it's not fun information, but I have never heard of someone resolving their insulin resistance while continuing to eat those foods. It doesn't happen. So here's the problem. If you were to walk up to like any random person on the street and ask them, what is the least healthy food that you eat? There's a very good chance that they will say sugar or something that contains sugar, soda or cookies or something like that. However, if you go up to a friend and say, I'm thinking of stopping sugar, they will look at you like, what? What are you talking about? Oh my gosh, you're going to stop eating sugar? Like all sugar? You're not going to have like muffins? Does bread count? Can you still have bread? Are you going to have birthday cake? Are you ever going to celebrate your birthday again? Like people freak out when you say that you're going to stop eating sugar. And so tell me if that has happened to you in the comments. Like type below if that's ever happened to you. You walked up to a friend and told them you were going to make this health change. And on one hand, they're like, well, I don't want you to feel bad, but also, are you insane? It happened to me a lot. And so what happens after that is that your brain, the part of your brain that's in charge of keeping you alive, right, this ancient primal part of your brain, it freaks out too, right? It starts spinning off on like, oh my gosh, people are going to think we're weird. They're not going to invite us to things. We're going to be ostracized. Nobody's going to want to have us around anymore. This is a terrible idea. We shouldn't do it. And so after that, you have to use your rational human brain to be like, well, according to the scientific research, sugar, blah, 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 and talk yourself back into this decision that you've already made. So there's all of this issue. And then you actually stop eating the sugar and your body freaks out, right? We've all been there. It's so used to this constant stream of glucose that when you stop eating it, you will get sugar cravings. It's like math. You stop eating sugar, you will get sugar cravings. And so cravings really are a way for your body to communicate with you. It's just a really cool way to think of it. Your body is used to receiving this one thing. It stops receiving it and it uses cravings as a way to communicate what is going on. That's so amazing. So think of it like this. This is a really good analogy. Imagine being a kid and your parents give you this incredible allowance. Like every day when you wake up, your parents give you a crisp $100 bill for an allowance. Every single day. You're just used to this. This is just life for you. I don't know what kind of life this is, but it's life for you. And so you don't actually need that much money, right? Especially when you're a kid. So you go to the arcade, you go to the movies, you buy some sneakers or whatever, and then you put the remainder in your piggy bank, your giant piggy bank for this insane life that we've just made up. And so imagine your parents stop giving you an allowance. You're going to have a temper tantrum. You're going to kick and scream. You're going to be all confused and upset. You're going to be indignant about it. You're going to be feeling sorry for yourself and looking at your empty wallet that doesn't have any money. And you're going to go through that whole thing before it even occurs to you that you have this piggy bank full of money. And you're going to be pretty resistant to opening up that piggy bank. Even though you've saved so much money, you've got plenty, right? Hey, Sherry, thanks so much for joining. So good to see you. So your body does the same thing with sugar. It really does. So, and our piggy banks is our body fat. That's the purpose of humans having body fat. It's an energy reserve, like truly, which is also an incredible way to think about your body. It's your metabolic savings account is what it is. And so when you stop eating sugar, your body goes into a temper tantrum, and it has to go through this whole process before it will start to pull from its savings account, your body fat, right? And so what does a temper tantrum look like in your body? Well, it looks like sugar cravings, and they can be pretty intense. Like, they're a very real thing. They can be difficult to manage. Like, that's legitimate. And so this is kind of the problem, right? We've got two kinds of problems in the world: logistical problems and mindset problems. And this is a mindset problem, because we've already gone through this whole process of our friends not understanding why we're stopping eating sugar. It's so a part of our culture. And then your body freaks out. And so our natural response is to think that something has gone wrong, right? We feel like, oh my gosh, something is wrong. I'm having these sugar cravings. They don't feel good. Something has gone wrong. But what I would like to suggest to you is that instead, each time you get a sugar craving, you just observe it. Really try this. Just try it. It's so amazing. So you sit back into your body and you just be with your body while it's having this sugar craving, right? Just like you would if it was your child that you had been giving this insane allowance to, and then you took away the allowance, and they're going to have a temper tantrum, and you just sit there with them, right? But you don't argue. You're not arguing with them about why you've taken it away and they shouldn't be upset and they still have all this stuff. That's just going to make the argument and the resistance so much worse. But what we're talking about is sugar cravings in your own body. And so if you're fighting against your own body, you will always lose, because it's you against you, right? So instead, just sit there with yourself and allow it to happen and observe it. The easiest way to really get through this and be present in the moment is to think about how it really feels. So start at the bottom of your body and move up. What do your legs feel like? What do your hips feel like? What's happening in your gut? What's happening in your stomach? What does your chest feel like? What does your heartbeat feel like? Is it increased? Notice that. What does your mouth feel like? What does your brain feel like? What's happening inside of your mind? Observe all of these things, and I guarantee you, if you just allow this sugar craving to be and you just sit with your body, it will pass so quickly. It's astounding. It's seriously like magic. So if this is making sense to you so far, type into the comments and just let me know if we are on the same page and this is making sense. I think this is so amazing. So this is the mindset side of things, right? We feel like we shouldn't be experiencing this when it is an absolutely natural reaction in our body. Yeah, that makes it go so much faster if you just know this is going to happen. You just have the sugar craving and you're like, okay, this is what my body feels like when I'm having a sugar craving. This is a natural part of this process. That's so much simpler. And it will happen so much faster. It will dissipate so much quicker, and you will be able to just move on with your day instead of feeling this reluctance and this pull and trying to fight against it. Okay, so that is the mindset side of things. And so if we've got two types of problems in the world, let's talk about the logistical problems, right? So the logistics of sugar cravings. Yeah, Sherry says she's going to try it. Yes, give it a try. It's amazing. It feels weird and woo-woo and some kind of like weird thing, but it's incredible. You have to experience it for yourself. So here's the logistics of sugar cravings. They last on average for 20 minutes. That's it. You can handle anything for 20 minutes. How long do we wait in line at the grocery store? You can handle anything for 20 minutes. And I actually think this is kind of on the longer side. Like if you are really considering the craving, if you're thinking about if you want to give into it, if you're fighting against it, if you're feeling guilty about having it, it's gonna last longer. You're gonna make it last longer because you're focusing so much on it. But if you allow it to just happen, I think 20 minutes is the longer side, and it will actually dissipate much, much quicker. I've definitely had that happen for me and for other people. So the second thing is that no one has ever died from a lack of sugar, which we sometimes have to remind ourselves of this, truly, Because it is a legitimate physiological process that's happening here. Your body is used to receiving this constant stream of easy energy. That constant stream of easy energy is gone. You're going to have some legitimate things happening here. Your brain will make you think you're going to die if you don't give in to this sugar craving. It really will, because it feels so life and death for your body. But just remember, your body is building a new habit too. And so you just have compassion for what is happening internally, and just know and remind yourself, no one has ever died from a lack of sugar. Sugar is not a required nutrient. Now, if you have an issue like hypoglycemia or diabetes, you do need to be monitoring your blood glucose, right? You need to be monitoring your blood, I keep wanting to say blood pressure, your blood sugar. But the difference here is being on top of that and monitoring it and really practicing self-care around making sure that you eat regularly, that you're eating healthy food, versus waiting until the very last minute and then having to have a chocolate croissant because you've waited so long, right? That's the difference there. Yeah, Chandra says, makes sense. I hate sugar cravings. They are my downfall. That and salt cravings. Interesting. So salt cravings can actually be an indicator that your adrenals could use some support, because your adrenals like go through sodium quickly when they're really working hard. So, but yeah, be in your body. What is your body really feeling? All of these sensations are a way that your body is communicating with you. So the next thing here is that nutrients really can help manage sugar cravings. So magnesium and chromium are two minerals that can really help your body to pull energy from its reserves and process it more efficiently, so that your body can kind of stabilize its own blood glucose, its own blood sugar. And then all of the B vitamins. So a big one, especially if you have PCOS, is inositol. It's technically not one of the B vitamins just because our body technically can make it. But the analogy is kind of like, technically you can make your own clothes, but do you want to? Sometimes it's easier to just get these nutrients in food and other forms. So inositol and the B vitamins can also help your body mobilize its own energy and convert its stored energy into a usable form that your cells can use. So really being on top of those. Our micronutrients are easy to skip over when we're thinking about diet. We get really caught up in the macros and the protein and carbs and fats. But these micronutrients, every single one of them is essential, and a deficiency in even one can cause problems in all different places of your body. So that's an important one to just not skip over when you're creating a plan for yourself. And so if you are having a hard time getting through the cravings, right, give this a try, but it'll feel weird the first few times. And if you really need something to get you through, my favorite trick is to sip a cup of bone broth. For one, it's not sweet, so you're not giving into the sugar craving, but it has all of these amino acids and minerals, and so you're giving your body, instead of a quick burst of energy, you're giving it a quick burst of nutrition that will help it learn how to do this process on its own, right? Your body is having to learn new habits too. And so, so Sherry's asking, what is it that happens when you start to feel shaky, sweaty, maybe dizziness, like you're going to pass out, but you don't? Yeah, so that's low blood sugar. So what I would recommend, for one, talk with your doctor if you're experiencing those, because those definitely look like hypoglycemia, which can be pretty problematic. You could actually pass out or something if it gets bad enough. So talk with your doctor. And then you can get a blood glucose monitor on Amazon for like $20 or so, which I highly recommend if you have any kind of blood sugar problems. You can just be checking that for yourself and then observing your patterns when you're eating certain foods. It's really, really incredible. Kind of treat it like a science experiment where you're learning all of this information. Yeah, so that's definitely indicative of some blood sugar problems. And so the last thing I want to recommend here is that you really learn how to distinguish between a sugar craving and hunger. We really get this confused. We get our wires all crossed about what is real hunger, what is feeling full. Many of us have kind of forgotten what fullness and hunger really feels like, especially in relation to sugar cravings. So if you're unsure which one you're having, a quick way is to ask yourself, would you eat meat and vegetables right now? And if the answer is no, then you're having a sugar craving. But if the answer is yes, then you're legitimately hungry and you need to go eat some food. All right. So tell me in the comments. I would like to kind of hear what your experience has been. So what has been the best thing about going sugar-free, and what was the hardest thing about going sugar-free? Type into the comments. We can all kind of see each other's experiences, and I'd love to hear that too. All right, and so if you have been working to kind of figure this out on your own for a long time, this is what I do for a living. So you can book a free call with me and we can talk about these symptoms that you're experiencing, what they might mean, how to, like what your first steps could be, how to actually start getting some momentum and some change around these areas so that you don't keep dealing with them. That's the thing with health, is that our current medical system is kind of like, you're fine until you have a diagnosis, and then you can go on some kind of medication for this severe diagnosis, right? You've got diabetes, you've got it, whatever it is. But there's so much that happens before that that you can work on so that you never get to it, right? Like we don't ever want to get to the point where we've got this diagnosis of diabetes or hypertension or cardiovascular problems or cancer, or any of the things that have become so prevalent. And so if you're getting the sense that something is going on now that's not quite right, this is the time to really dig into that so that you can fix it now and you don't ever get to it, right? So I will put a link into the description of the video. You can book a free call with me and I'll see what I can do to help you with this. And if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button below and consider subscribing to my channel for a new video about hormonal balances, natural fertility, and having easy pain-free periods every single Monday. So next week, we're going to talk about the average length of time that it takes to conceive when you have PCOS. So be sure to tune into that, and I will see you next week.